All right, mate, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while, guys. Good to see you. I hope you're well. Today we're talking about the big one. It's a painful one for me, I'm not going to lie. West Ham's very own Declan Rice is leaving. It looks that way, at least, as I'm recording this video. An offer, I believe, has been accepted for him to go to Arsenal. I think they're still working out the nooks and crannies of the deal. Arsenal want to pay 100+ million over a period of about 3,000 years. Obviously, West Ham want the money a bit sooner. It's very classic Arsenal negotiation tactic. But yeah, I think if it's not done by the time you're watching this video, it will be very soon. And there's a lot to unpack. I call him one of our own. Obviously, we did sort of get him from the Chelsea Academy in his teenage years, but it's as close as you're going to get to one of your own, I think. And he's a West Ham legend. There's so much to talk about this deal because it's a significant deal, guys. I mean, I think, depending on what exchange rates you use, this is going to make him the most expensive English player of all time. I know what you're thinking. Hang on, didn't Bellingham just go to Real Madrid for like 100+ million? He did, but that's euros, people. That's euros. If you do the exchange rates, I do believe this works out. If we're looking at it to be around 100, 105 million pounds, that's like 130 or 120, somewhere in that bracket, million euros. So he'd be the most expensive English player of all time. How mental is that? A West Ham player going to Arsenal for that much money. Obviously, Grealish was around the 100 million mark as well, not too long ago. England players, they do come with that extra bit of tax, the English tax we call it. They're very expensive. I won't go into that on this video, but that's based on English teams needing a certain amount of English players in the league, which comes at a cost. But let's talk about this, because I want to talk about it from all angles. Obviously, there's a West Ham angle to this. That's my angle. But I want to talk about the Arsenal angle as well. Is it a good buy? I want to talk about the Declan Rice angle. Is it a good move for him? Has he picked the right club? There's a lot to talk about. Of course, as always, let us know in the comments what you think about this deal, depending on what angle you're looking at it from. Maybe you're a neutral. Maybe you've still got a very strong opinion on it. First of all, I've got to say, I have no ill feeling towards Declan Rice for doing this move from West Ham. I think he gave us as much as we could physically expect him to give us in terms of time, in terms of commitment on the pitch, and the fact that he's ended his career as a European champion, winning the Conference League as captain of West Ham. Wow. The fact that it happened the year after Mark Noble hung up his boots, so he was actually the club captain. The first year he's actually only officially been the club captain for 1 year, and he's won a European trophy. I think it was a couple of years ago when West Ham fans knew the quality of Rice. It took England fans a little bit longer to see him do it in an England shirt, and then neutral fans a little bit longer to really get on board the Rice bandwagon. But I think everyone is on it now. Everyone realises the quality of this young man and what he can do for a top-tier team, which is what Arsenal are, or at least are trying to be. And I think this helps them a lot. So yeah, I have no feelings of sort of disappointment with Rice. I think he stayed as much as we can expect him to. He's won us a trophy. It's now time to leave. I think it would be madness, quite frankly, if he didn't leave this summer. That being said, West Ham, whilst they've made that clear and the ownership have said we expect him to leave this summer, they have held out for a good price. A fair price, I think, in today's market. Some people think Arsenal are overpaying. I've got to say, I don't think they are. In fact, I've got previous on this, because we're going to roll a clip right now of me predicting Rice going to a team for £100 million, not 1 year ago, not 2 years ago, not 3 years ago, 4 years ago. This was back in 2019 on Sky Sports' Saturday Social. Now, there's a few things in this clip we'll talk about that weren't the best predictions, but the Rice one is bang on. Take a look at this.
Who is the first name you're putting in that defensive midfield position?
This one hurt me. This one hurt me big time. But if I take my bias out of the equation, I think it would be a good purchase. It'd be a good move for the player. Yeah. And that player is Declan Rice.
Oh, player that you love.
Yeah, a player that I love. And if it's up to me, I'd have him stay at West Ham, of course. But unless we kick on and finish top 4 and play European football, he needs that exposure if he's going to stay in England.
Do you think he's likely to go then if you don't get?
Yeah, I think we've got him maybe one more season at most. Okay. Way things are going. But Man United would be a great move for him. They need someone in that position. And Rice, 100 million could cost that. If he goes, I hope he goes for that much.
Right.
Because I can see anywhere between 50 to 100. So yeah, we're not going to talk about the fact that I thought Koulibaly would go to United for 100 mil. If you're wondering, by the way, what that clip was, I was asked to rebuild the Man United team, and I was asked to put a price on the players that I thought it would definitely secure them, okay? And I felt Rice is a 100 mil player even 4 years ago. So I'll give myself some credit for that. However, Koulibaly hasn't gone down that route. He's obviously just left Chelsea and he's gone to Saudi Arabia. At the time I made that video, he's playing at Napoli still, and he was highly sought after. I also said Kane should go to United. I said Sancho should go to United before Sancho actually did go to United. And I said Maddison should go there as well. And there's another chat to be had about Arsenal's transfer policy around the fact they've gone with Havertz over Maddison, which is an interesting choice, assuming they could have got him. He's obviously gone to their rivals at Spurs. But let's concentrate on Rice for now. So I've always felt he was a 100 mil player. And I think if you look at people like Enzo Fernandez, who went to Chelsea for around the same price, like in January transfer window, are they that different in quality? I don't think so. And that's not even allowing for the English tax, by the way, which does add on the price. I think they're in the same ballpark as players, and I think that's what you've got to pay these days. Yes, now 100 mil is a lot, and I've been a bit critical of the Enzo Fernandez transfer. I rate him highly as a player, highly. But when you pay 100 mil for any player, you put a lot of pressure on that player to be good. Even in this market where big numbers are getting spent, if you cost 100 mil, you have to be world class every single game you play. It's just there's no room for error, particularly when you're not a player that scores goals or gets assists. And Enzo Fernandez probably does that a bit more than Declan Rice, although Declan Rice has got better in that area of late. I think Declan Rice is a better defender than Enzo Fernandez is. But neither of them are players that are going to score 10 plus goals a season. So they have to be so outstanding in their field, because you can get decent players in that position for a lot less. That being said, we might be looking for example, a replacement in Palhinha from Fulham, and they want 90 million from him. The world's gone mad, but they know we're going to have 100 mil to spend. So that's Fulham's prerogative, and that is the struggle of when teams know you've got a lot of money to spend. But listen, let's talk about it from an Arsenal perspective as well. Actually, let's start off with a Rice perspective. Now, we don't know exactly how many opportunities and clubs he had coming after him. We know West Ham were holding out for a high price. We know Man City were putting some offers in. There was some talk about Bayern Munich being interested in him. Many people for a long time thought he was going to go to Chelsea and hook up with his mate Mason Mount, although Mason Mount might not be in Chelsea's books too much longer. They obviously got Fernandes. They've spent a lot of money. Right now, they're concentrating on offloading players. Then there was a lot of talk about United. I even suggested it in that video I made, as we showed a clip from a minute ago. I think the day they got Casemiro, it kind of put paid to that rumour a couple of years ago or last year. The Man City one was interesting because I didn't get that. I understood why City could afford him. I understood why City might want him to stop someone else getting him in the league, because I think Rice is a player that can seriously make a team that's just outside the title race a title contender. But I didn't understand why City wanted him, unless they were going to play like a double pivot with Rodri and Rice together, or maybe they were going to convert Rice into more of a number 8, or Rodri, I don't know. But I didn't see it. It felt just like greediness. City just trying to dominate the transfer market. Maybe they were just trying to drive the price up to make Arsenal pay more and spend more of their transfer allocated money this year. But yeah, I understand maybe why Rice wouldn't have wanted that move. I think if they won the transfer bidding war and they came for him, he would have gone. But we've got so many things to think about with regards to why he might prefer Arsenal over City. First and foremost, he's going to be the main man at Arsenal. Certainly one of them. I know Arsenal fans might think, hang on, we've got Saka, we've got Martinelli, we've got, some unbelievable defenders like Saliba and Gabriel, we've got Ramsdale, we've got all these names. Trust me, you're going to fall in love with Declan Rice. Give it 3-4 months, we'll be coming back to this video, commenting, Spencer, we love Declan, thank you so much for letting us have him. And it was, I did obviously sanction the move. So there's that to think about. I think Rice will be an Arsenal hero, probably an Arsenal captain. That might even be part of their kind of offer to him over the last few months, because we know this has been going on for a while. They might be saying, look, come here, give it a year, you'll be captain. No disrespect to Erdegaard, world-class player, phenomenal talent. He's not as vocal a captain. He's not as impactful a captain, I think, is what Declan Rice will be. Even without the armband, Rice will be like a captain in that team, and he'll have a captain's-like role from day one. So I think it's a really important move from that perspective for Rice, because he comes in and he becomes a massive part of the machine. I'm not saying he wouldn't have started at City. I don't think you spend 100 mil on a player and not play them. But I think he would have had some doubts about where he was going to fit in and how he was going to interact with Rodri. I think where the City move could have been really interesting is if they'd really wanted him and if they could have convinced Calvin Phillips to go in the other direction. I know he didn't want to go, Phillips, but with Rodri and Rice at City, Phillips is not getting any game time. There's just no way. We've also got John Stones playing as like a converted midfielder now as well. I guess that would have put paid to that experiment as well. But yeah, if Phillips could have come as a make weight to West Ham as part of that deal, maybe made it 80 million plus Phillips, even maybe 70 million plus Phillips, that could have won him the battle, because it would mean we would have got a player as part of the deal. Because the problem we're going to have is that anyone we try and go and get now is going to cost us 20, 30 mil more than the market rate, because they know we've got the money and we need a replacement. So I understand why Rice might have preferred to move to Arsenal on those sort of footballing grounds, but also on personal grounds. Now, we're kind of guessing here. We don't know for sure, but I do know that Declan's a bit of a family man, and I know that he would have taken his family's best wishes into consideration. And how much easier is a move just across the North Circular to go and play at Arsenal? Doesn't have to move, doesn't have to change anything. You know, he's got a child, I believe. You know, these things will be taken into consideration rather than a move up to Manchester, which would be a bit of an unknown for him. So it makes a lot of sense in that regard. But I do think the main pulling factor would have been the fact that he can just be an Arsenal legend. And the big thing for me with Declan is one of his best skill sets for me, and it's why I think he does well in England shirt as well, is he's really good at teams that don't have the ball because he's so good at getting it back. I've seen these things comparing him to Rodri statistically, but they're playing different games. City just smash teams and dominate possession. And so you can't compare like interceptions because Rodri has nowhere near as much opportunity to intercept the ball as Declan does. Because West Ham, traditionally this year at least, have been playing with like 30% possession. So Declan's constantly got opportunities to get the ball back. So you can't compare them like for like. What's going to be interesting is seeing Rice in a different kind of team. Now, Arsenal aren't City, but they're not a million miles off. They do play possession football. They do dominate teams and certainly, you know, from start to finish often. And he's got to adapt his game a little bit. But I get the logic there. Now let's talk about the price. 100 mil. Have we had Arsenal's trousers down here? No. We have charged the going rate. I'm glad we didn't back down. And if there was no team, prepared to pay that this summer, we should have held on to him. But I rate it. I think it's a win-win for everyone involved. I think Arsenal have got an unbelievable talent. It's going to make them a lot better. We've got a really good price for him, but a fair price. And we're now going to have to use that money to improve a lot of positions. I don't think you can replace Rice like for like. I think we've got to take that money and probably get 3 or 4 players in different positions. One of them being a centre mid, maybe 2 of them being a centre mid, but other players as well to improve the team. I think from the Arsenal perspective, I like their business, right? I think they've done good business for a couple of years now, even in the window, January window. Do you remember I got a bit of stick in my January transfer reaction video because I said Arsenal had a better window than Chelsea, and everyone was like, Chelsea spent $500 million. Oh, it's about how much you spend. Look at them. I'm not saying they aren't going to be good, but they were an absolute shambles after spending that money. They're the only team in the history of the world to spend $500 million and get worse. Can you imagine? I don't know if you've seen the latest #United video, but we had a big financial issue to deal with last year where we didn't get paid a large sum of money. We still went and won 2 promotions, record-breaking season, won 21 games in a row in our league. Yes, I know it's a lower level. I'm just saying. Imagine if we had $500 million to spend and got worse. It's embarrassing. So I said Arsenal had a good window, even though they didn't get Mudryk and other people they were looking for. I liked the Jorginho addition. Yeah, I know they didn't go on and win the league, but they're against City. There's no guarantees anyone gets to beat City. So I like Arsenal's business. I have some concerns. They spent a lot of money on Havertz and Rice. I don't know how much they've got left. I know they're trying to get Timber as well. Again, I like it. I like it as an addition. Is it enough to make them a title-winning team? I think they need another midfielder. The Havertz one doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I know some people are saying he's going to be played maybe in a deeper midfield role, maybe as even as an 8, and you might even see Havertz, Ødegaard and Rice in the middle. That could happen. I don't think it will work. I don't think that's a Premier League winning midfield. I think it's too lightweight, I'll be honest. I think you're asking way too much of Rice on a defensive responsibility standpoint. I know they're talking about, you know, Rice becoming like a third defender with maybe Saliba and Gabriel, and then you've got Timber or White on the right side, Zinchenko on the left, and they push on and it becomes like a different kind of formation. Or maybe it's like a 2 central defenders and Rice is the next line, and you've got Zinchenko and the right back, whoever it is, there. There's ways you can do it, but I don't think Arsenal's squad is deep enough to play that system, because the minute you get an injury, it falls apart. Look what happened when Saliba was injured last year. They might be thinking Timber's the replacement there because then he can go right back and then White can go centre back, or vice versa. But if Declan Rice gets injured, not that he's too injury prone, to be fair, he plays a lot of football, that whole system falls apart. Who are you putting in there? Jorginho? Not going to work in that middle three on his own. Xhaka may stay around now and not go, but still, they're not Declan Rice. I think they need another, more of a traditional number 8, or even another defensive-minded midfielder, and they're having Ødegaard or Havertz in that position. If Ødegaard's injured, you've got a bit of depth there. But I don't think they've got enough depth across the squad, even with Havertz, Rice and Timber if they get him. I think they need more, which is going to cost them a pretty penny. But I like the way they're spending it. I think they're not holding back the cash, but they're not getting mugged off financially. They got Havertz cheaper than what Chelsea paid for him. Some people will say Havertz wasn't good at Chelsea, but they're trying to get the German Havertz, aren't they? Not the Chelsea Havertz. They're going to use him in a different way, and I still think he's a young player with good potential. But this video is about Rice. Good move for Arsenal. Good move for the player. Good move for West Ham, because I think holding on to him anymore would have been selfish. You know, I've got a lot of West Ham fans that are like really annoyed he's going to Arsenal. I've got to be honest, I don't have that feeling. I don't have that hatred towards Arsenal. I know I've said some comments over the years like Payet is better than Ozil, which he was. But that was never that was never out of any sort of distaste for Arsenal. I actually quite like Arsenal. A lot of my friends are Arsenal fans. I've said it many times. I like the idea of Arsenal getting better and challenging the cities of the world. I've got no problem with it. Spurs would have been a different story. I've got a lot more distaste to Spurs, even Chelsea. Arsenal is not a big issue for me, him going there. And I get the logic. I would have disliked him going to Tottenham or Chelsea more. One name I will throw out there was Newcastle ever in the running? I know it's a bit out there, but talking about making a team better, you're talking about a project he's going to have a massive impact on. You know, if you join City, you just join a team that's won the treble. All you can do is make them the same. You can't make them better, but you can make Arsenal a lot better. Could have made Newcastle a lot better. I don't think they had the money probably to splash 100 mil. I mean, they've got the money, but you know what I mean? The financial fair play implications. I don't think they could have done that. But it would have been an interesting move, albeit maybe too far away, further than City for the same personal reasons. It wouldn't have worked, but I'm not sure they were ever in the race to sign him. But ultimately, guys, what will dictate whether this is a good move for West Ham is how we spend the money. Everyone's going to see us coming with regards to having 100 mil to spend. There's a couple of names I liked. I really wanted Palhinha as the replacement, but if he's going to be 90 mil, that's dead. You can't pay that for him. He's a couple of years older than Rice. No English tax on there. Onana, maybe from Everton. We tried to get him before Everton got him. Is it time to bring him in now? Would he come? European football, let's not forget. Not only are we Conference League champions, we're in the Europa League next year. James Ward-Prowse, I don't know if we'll get him, but he's got to go somewhere, I think, and it would be a good midfield addition. And we're looking outside of the midfield. Arsenal, who we just sold someone to, is there a striker we could get from them in Nketiah? Is he going to want to move? What about Balogun? I know they said they will sell him for around 35 million, I think. Wouldn't mind him coming in. We're going to need a striker at some point because Antonio's not getting younger. Skamaka feels like he could move at any minute. Harvey Barnes at Leicester. Would be very interested in getting him. Would we have been in the conversation for Maddison? I don't know. I know he's gone Spurs now, but I don't know if that would have been something he would have considered. I mean, we're in Europe. Spurs aren't. So it maybe was in the cards. And for the price they paid for him, I would have taken spending 40 million of the 100 mil we got from Rice on Maddison. I'd have taken that. Maybe a bit injury prone. But speaking of Maddison, you could make an argument, have Arsenal bought the wrong midfielder? If Maddison was prepared to go Spurs, I think he would have gone Arsenal. Could they have got him instead of Havertz? Now, you can't get Maddison to play the 8. So if the idea is to get Havertz to play an 8 in the middle, then it makes sense going with him over Maddison. But Maddison was 25 mil cheaper and his stats aren't comparable. Considering Havertz was playing as a striker last year, Maddison played a lot less minutes in a much worse team and got better returns. Something to think about there if Havertz ends up playing as an attacking midfielder. But ultimately, West Ham haven't spent money well in the past. Everyone is going to see us coming. I do have some concerns. That's where the addition of Stuyton comes in. We've just brought in a new technical director from Leverkusen. Now, still going to have people like David Moyes and Mark Noble involved in transfers, but this man is going to be the main man when it comes to incoming transfers. And I hope that transfer or that signing of a member of staff works out because we need to change in that department a little bit. I don't think we've bought terribly since Moyes come in. We look at the Czech Republic boys we brought in, people like Jared Bowen. We had done all right, but now we've got big money to spend. We've got to get it right, you know? And I think a good technical director could help with that. So ultimately, there's a few players I think we missed out on. You know, where I think we could have really won, if you're going to have 100 mil to spend, is actually not allow teams to rip you off and actually target free transfers. Yeah, you're going to put those players on big contracts, but you're going to save a lot of money. That's where I would have liked to see us go for Tielemans. I know he's gone to Aston Villa. Again, European football, we had something to offer him. Could we have gone early on that? Did we have to wait for the Rice move? Even Stuyton, the guy coming as a technical director from Leverkusen, hasn't started yet. That's maybe one of the reasons we haven't spent any money yet, really, is because he doesn't start till July 1st and he's going to get that 100 mil to play with, maybe. But I would have liked to see us move for Tielemans. But I can't judge it fully from a West Ham standpoint until we've spent the money. But it's crazy to see, considering when I was a young West Ham fan, we sold Rio Ferdinand to Leeds for £18 million. That was a massive transfer at the time. And we even built a stand in our stadium with that money. We used to call it the Rio stand at West Ham, or the Ferdinand stand, whatever. The fact that we can sell a player for 5 times that to Arsenal is mad. It's a sign of the times. It's a sign of the economy and the growing football industry. But yeah, I can't judge the West Ham side of the transfer until we've spent the money. But Rice, I get it. I don't hold any bad blood to you at all. Thank you for everything you've done for West Ham. We love you. Some of my mates saying they won't, like, they've gone off him if he's chosen to go to Arsenal. I don't feel that way at all. I think he could have chosen anywhere and I would have, maybe not Millwall or Tottenham, but anywhere else, and I would have been okay with it. But I get it, I rate it, and I thank you. Declan Rice, you're a gentleman and a scholar. You're a European champion, maybe for the last time, because Arsenal aren't great in that department. But let's see. Let's see. And well done to Arsenal. I think you've got yourself a gem, and I think you're going to fall madly in love with a man called Declan. Final bit of news from me, talking about great signings. West Ham have sold Declan Rice. Arsenal have signed an international. So have Hashtag United. We've just signed a guy who's got 2 caps for Somalia. He's got a goal for Somalia. Get involved with Hashtag United if you've been off the hashtag train for a while. Check the links in the description. Follow us on social media and you'll be kept up to date with news like that. An international playing for Hashtag. Never thought I'd see the day. We've actually had women players internationally capped, like Eva Frazzoni, the Bermudan captain, for a while. So if you don't know, get to know. Drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe for more. Let me know what you think about the Rice deal. And if you've got any other videos you'd like to see me make, let me know in the comments below. Until next time, don't go changing. Bye-bye.